believe it, 11 years ago, a few weeks ago, the very first live Barbecue Central show hit the internet air on a station then known as BBS Talk Radio. And over the last almost decade, BBS Talk Radio has grown into the #1 ranked website for talk radio, now known as LA Talk Radio. Barbecue Central show has become the leading barbecue and grilling show covering the industry today. So let's use the last segment of the show this evening to look all the way back to whence it started. We race to the hotline and welcome in the creator, CEO, and host of Sam in the Morning with Danny. Sam Hasson joins me here on the show. Sammy! How are you, buddy?
Hey, Greg. Thank you for having me, my friend.
Sam, it is an absolute pleasure to have you back in the friendly confines of the Barbecue Central show jungle. And for the new listeners, you know, it's kind of a unique experience here because we look back now. I mean, this isn't like 1 year or 2 years removed from the first show. We're now looking back at 11 years, which is
11 years.
Kind of unbelievable. So when you were thinking, I like radio, I'm not really interested in getting into the terrestrial scene, I'm going to try this whole internet thing out. Did you envision looking ahead 11 years and seeing the success that you and LA Talk Radio have had?
Quite frankly, no, Greg. I mean, the whole idea was really to get my own show on the air, which I've wanted to do for a long time. And like you said, terrestrial, you know, I didn't have what it took to be on terrestrial since there were so few jobs for people on terrestrial radio. And I thought, you know, maybe if we use the internet, we can do this. And sure enough, several people joined me, and the rest is history, you know. I mean, we have 80 shows now.
Wow.
We have video. We do Facebook Live feeds. And you've kept right up and on your own, which is amazing, you know. I mean, we may have given you the little kick in the butt in the beginning, but you were already there. You had a product, you had a production, and I was always impressed with you. I told you, you were always my favorite show because you produced it so professionally that I was proud to have you on the station, you know. And look at you now. You're on Facebook Live. You've got your own network and all that stuff. So that's amazing, you know. But I never envisioned it being like with 80 shows and, you know, and running the way it is. So we're very proud of that, very happy, and I'm glad you still remember, you know. I mean, it seems like not everybody remembers where they came from sometimes, you know.
Well, I think it's unique for us, Sam, because this isn't a instance where I was also from LA and I saw the Craigslist in LA and decided to like show up to whatever the studio was at that point where you guys were at. I was in Cleveland. Right. I was looking to branch out and get out of just a barbecue podcast because at that point, hard to believe now, that there was a fairly large number of newcomers coming into the barbecue podcast scene. And I just wanted to stand apart or differentiate myself. So I wanted to try live, saw your ad in
Right.
Craigslist, call you and say, oh, hey, I'm this weirdo that does a barbecue show. And you're probably like, oh, great. Okay, so 2 weeks after he does his second show, he's going to be out of stuff to talk about, and I'm going to have to look to fill a time slot, no doubt about it. But it was...
And that's exactly what everybody else said when I told them about it, too. It's like, how can you talk about barbecue so much? And, you know, like I told you when you called on my show yesterday, 11 years later, you're able to laugh at everybody because you found a niche which many people have not. And you've led that niche, and you become the big fish in the smaller pond, let's say, rather than being lost in all that noise out there. No.
So we are able to stand the test of time because we go through a series of growing pains, a lot of stuff behind the scenes. There wasn't a lot of failure. There wasn't missed audio or big dropouts or weeks where I couldn't figure something out. Behind the scenes, we're working for technology. In essence, we had to figure out a way for LA to connect to Cleveland. And then again, 11 years ago, this isn't like we're talking about it today where technology is much more advanced than it was. I mean, this is 11 years ago. And we figure out a way for you to punch into me. It gets redirected back through your audio servers. And all of a sudden we're doing like a Rush Limbaugh going across the country, you know, wherever he is in Florida. And we can just broadcast it out to the globe.
Right, absolutely. And that was an amazing thing. And yeah, today, I mean, we have a show where we actually connect 5, 6 people at the same time. One is actually on a boat, on a ship, and people from around the world are connecting and are able to put professional radio shows on. And and that's what I'm saying again. It's like you managed to do your own thing on your own. You learned, you cut your teeth on all this, and and it paid off. It paid off, and I really salute you, Greg, because not only that, but you're a great human being because you remember, you have gratitude. You're gracious. You have memories. And we do. We all do. When the station was small, my God, remember we used to call into each other's shows all the time and listen to each other all the time and stuff. And that's when we were small. But, the biggest difference really is the way people had to listen to us through the computer back then because there were no iPhones in 2008. It had just come out, but there were no such thing as apps and all that. And suddenly people listen and watch us on Facebook and on the website in real time, in high quality, anything, audio, video, whatever. I apologize for the background noise. I'm outside. There's a plane right above me there, but go on.
Yeah, so what I think is key as I'm kind of following the track of LA Talk Radio's success is there was a definitive point where you wanted to keep it audio only. There's and we're both big radio guys. We like the same kind of radio shows and ones that we kind of grew up with, maybe try and emulate to a certain degree. But then you realize also that, hey, technology has to change. So I'm going to make this LA Talk Radio app so it's even easier for people to find me. Then you integrate video. So while you probably look, just like me, I never wanted to have a video component to the show. To this day, I don't want to have a video component to the show because I don't like seeing me. I don't want people to see me, but I want people to use their mind and maybe think of somebody that they're just hearing and making their own vision of whatever we're talking about. But seeing it, people love to watch too, right? Voyeurism to a certain degree, all that stuff. So they want to see me looking at into space or looking at a microphone or talking into a microphone. And you have been very progressive with that. You've introduced when it makes sense. And as you said, LA Talk Radio is a very high-end production. So if it's like somewhere where you're around there, then you're always taking in new shows, right?
Yeah, all the time, And another big announcement is today we were able to actually add our streams and our podcasts to all the big guys like Spotify and iHeart and SoundCloud and YouTube and Amazon Alexa and all that stuff. So, this is stuff that you try to be ahead and, and like you said, with the camera and the video, you're so right about that, Greg. And that's why I think we both succeeded because we both agree on this, that this is radio, First and foremost, it's about the content. It's not about what you see on the screen. But our society today is very focused on video, so you got to give it to them because that's the way they will let you into their home, so to speak. So when they see you on Facebook Live, rather than having to click on the link to come to your site, you're going to them. They're already there on Facebook. Suddenly there you are.
Right.
They can't not watch. So that's why it's so important to have that. And yeah, you're right. So we've had to change. You have to change or you become obsolete. There's no question.
Sam, talk to me about your show now. I mean, I remember doing promos and all that stuff all the way back from when it originally started, and you've really kind of become, I don't know, I guess in the beginning I was like, wow, the guy turns over co-hosts like crazy, but after I've been able to evaluate it over a body of work, you're kind of a springboard for a lot of these folks.
I think so. I mean, but it was never meant for that. I mean, when I wanted a radio show, I always envisioned it as me with another, like with a woman, and discussing different things. And the nice thing is that I have gone through several co-hosts over the years, but that's not a bad thing. I mean,
right.
Each one brought a different thing to the show and was like fresh spirit into the show and fresh ideas and personality and all that. So I don't regret even a single one that I've had over the years, you know. So it's really cool. And, you know, like now I have a co-host who's half my age, but I'm able to learn so much from her about like pop culture and things like that that I didn't know about. So that's why I like it. You know, I like to keep it like people that don't necessarily agree with me. You know, I've had co-hosts that were very opposite of me politically, and that was tough sometimes. You know, I mean, they would make it personal, but it's good radio, so you can't argue with that. You know.
Sam Hasson joining me
But,
here on the show, creator of LA Talk Radio, latalkradio.com, his website. If you haven't checked it out, you should be going there for sure. Sam, let's change it up for a second. From a food situation out there, what are your favorite spots to hit up?
okay, that's not a good question to ask me because I don't go out much for steak and stuff. But I'll talk about anything barbecue with you. I got to tell you, yesterday you were on my show. You gave me a few tips.
Yep.
And one of them was to really preheat the my new Weber, and I did. I brought it to 550, and then I put the steak in, and I had a ribeye, but it was a thin one, so I threw it in a few minutes, and man, it was delicious. So what I'm here to say, and I'm a total amateur about grilling, is that in the past I've wondered why is my stuff not turning out okay? I'm doing everything I think I should be doing, but I think the biggest mistake is, first of all, you got to preheat every time. That's what I realized. You know, you can't just start with the meat on the moment you light up the grill. That's one lesson I learned. The second one is to, you know, I mean, you said you should turn it. You said I should turn it over several times, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because of the guy that said don't open it too much because the heat goes out when you turn it and all that. What do you do with that, Greg?
Oh, I mean, you can close the lid, but then
Right.
you just open it up real quick. You turn it again, close the lid. You know, gas
Right.
grills, they recover very quickly, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah.
Plus, Meathead from AmazingRibs.com is easily disproven this whole if you're looking, you're not cooking, or you have to add so much more time and all this other stuff. That's an old wives'
I
tale that
like
gets
it.
spun and spun, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. But I got to tell you, so with a couple of your tips, I was able to get a great steak with no effort at all. I didn't put anything on it. It was just on the fire. And, you know, with the little fat it had on it, it was a boneless ribeye. It was excellent. You know, so the bottom line is, and let me just give them a plug because Weber supports you, right?
Yes, to a degree.
Okay. So I so I can say that I bought the Spirit too, and it's again as an amateur, but it's very impressive looking, and it cooked perfectly. So I realized that you got to have the right grill. You got to have the right grill to cook something good. You know.
There's a saying
And
in
I always use just amateur stuff. So
there's a saying in the barbecue world, Sam, buy the best and only cry once. See what I'm saying?
I do.
Yes,
I do.
yes. It's
I
a
like the audience there,
mantra
yeah.
to live by, no doubt. Sam, quick question about your show before I let you go, and I appreciate the time. Who's your most favorite guest that you've had on Sam in the Morning?
A guest.
Yes.
How the hell am I going to remember that, Greg? That's
I know who my favorite guest is of yours of all time.
Uh-huh.
It was Bo Duke. Easily the best. Bo Duke was the best. You kidding?
Really?
My
Wow.
God. Remember I called in, I was like, how hot was Daisy Duke? And he's like, oh, she was so hot. And here I'm talking how hot Daisy Duke is with Bo Duke. I mean, that was the best show ever.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. I can't tell you how many because, like you know, I've had many guests over the years, but when you count them, it's in the thousands.
Oh, yeah.
What happens to me now is that a week later, I forget who they were or what their names were, and that's after an hour with them in the studio. So that's also part of aging, you know, and all that. Your memory starts going, but for the most part, I've had a lot of people, a lot of great people. If you're asking me about some more known people, I've had the couple of those auctioneers from Storage Wars. They were amazing, you know. Have you ever watched that show?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so they were on the show and they were a lot of fun. And I had Donnie Most from Happy Days.
Yeah.
He was a great guy. Yeah, and we'd have some people over the years. One time we had Debbie Reynolds, and I have a picture with her, and that was an amazing experience because I had worked for her in Las Vegas when she had her casino and hotel. I worked there as a graphic designer for. They were doing like well, I'm getting off track, but the thing is, we had Debbie Reynolds and all that stuff. So we've got a lot of great people, but the best, Greg, I got to tell you, are the people that not many people know. You know, they just come in,
Mhm.
we have a great time. They tell us about the stuff they do, and we have an amazing time. So if people want to listen to some fun radio in the morning for you guys, early afternoon, tune in. Sam in the morning with Danny. All you have to do is go to latalkradio.com. You'll see us on the front page, or you can download the app, the LA Talk Radio app, and you can listen there. And of course, my show is sometimes on Facebook Live, but mostly you just listen in audio and get the best of it. And Greg, thank you so much for bringing me on the show, man. It's amazing, and I'm always flattered to
Sam,
be back on your show.
I'm more than happy to have you on. It's certainly my pleasure. And as we look back over 11 years, I wouldn't have rather done it with anybody else than you, my friend. And I appreciate you coming on.
Wow, that's amazing, Greg. Thank you so much, my friend, and much continued success to you.
Okay, thank you, Sam. There he is. It's Sam Hasson, the creator of LA Talk Radio. And it was fitting, since we had just passed 11 years in live shows, that we get back and reincorporate, or at least allow me to reintroduce you to Sam, who was the catapult of the live show.